The world is a strange and wonderful place. For millennia, mankind has sought to tame this wilderness, to bring order to the chaos. But some corners remain untouched, shrouded in mystery, where logic falters and our understanding of reality frays. Tonight we delve into the heart of these mysteries, these true scary tales from nowhere. Prepare yourself for the unknown. The night was like any other in the small town of Ashton, Indiana. Daniel Reeves, a hard-working family man, was driving home from a late shift at the factory. Dashcam footage from a passing truck captured his headlights cutting through the darkness, heading north on Route 131. Then, without warning, those taillights flickered and vanished. Police initially suspected an accident, but a thorough search yielded no wreckage, no tyre tracks, no sign of Daniel Reeves. The mystery deepened with a single voicemail left on his wife's phone, containing only heavy, ragged breathing and a faint, distorted whisper. Daniel Reeves seemingly vanished into thin air, leaving behind a void of unanswered questions. A chilling testament to the unknown that sometimes bleeds into our reality. The old Victorian house stood on a hill overlooking the sleepy town of Oak Haven, Tennessee. To Mark and Sarah Campbell, it was their dream home, a fresh start in a picturesque setting. But their idyllic new life soon took a sinister turn. It began subtly flickering light bulbs, unsettling feelings of being watched, objects moved. Then came the letters, each one bearing a single chilling message. "I see you." Fear gnawed at their sanity. One night, Mark awoke to a rhythmic tapping from the upstairs bedroom window. He bolted upright and raced to the window. The yard below was empty, no sign of forced entry. Yet the window, previously bolted shut, was now unlocked, slightly ajar. A cold breeze carried the scent of damp earth into the room. Their dream home had become a nightmare they couldn't escape. The old Zenith radio sat on Michael's bedside table, a relic from his grandfather. One sweltering July night in 2009, the familiar white noise transformed into something far more sinister. Whispers woven into the static grew louder, clearer, coalescing into distinct words, "Go to the basement." Michael lived in a small, single-story bungalow. He didn't have a basement. Against his better judgment, he pried up a loose floorboard in the living room, revealing stairs leading down. The air grew heavy with mildew and decay. The flashlight beam revealed a small, dirt-floored room. A single wooden chair sat in the center, its surface covered in scratches. In the corner, an old battery-operated radio crackled to life, emitting the same static, the same voice. But now, the voice wasn't just speaking to him, it was laughing. Michael's sanctuary had become a gateway to something far more sinister. The streetlights cast long, eerie shadows as Claire Peterson made her way home from her evening shift at the library. It was a route she'd walked countless times before, but tonight something felt different. A prickling sensation at the back of her neck, the unsettling feeling of being watched. She quickened her pace, her heart pounding. Glancing over her shoulder, she saw nothing but empty sidewalks. Her shadow, stretched long by the streetlights, wasn't moving in sync with her body. It seemed to lag behind, as if reluctant to follow. She stopped abruptly, holding her breath, and stared down at the shadow. It remained stationary. Panic surged through her. She broke into a run, reaching her front door and fumbling with her keys. Safely inside, she locked the door behind her, her chest heaving. Later that night, as she stood before her bedroom mirror, she noticed something that sent chills down her spine. Her shadow was gone. The old-growth forest, outside of Redwood National Park, had always held an allure for Daniel Carter. A seasoned hiker, he found solace in the towering trees and the quiet solitude of the wilderness. But this night, his peaceful sanctuary would reveal a darkness he'd never imagined. As darkness enveloped the forest, Daniel began to hear whispers. At first he dismissed them as the wind rustling through the leaves. But as he pressed on, the whispers grew louder, more distinct, taking on an unsettling quality. The whispers led him deeper into the forest, urging him forward. He stumbled upon a clearing, bathed in an unnatural light. In the center of the clearing, he saw a structure formed from the trees themselves, their branches twisted and intertwined. The whispers were coming from within. Daniel's sanctuary had become a place of unspeakable terror. Rain lashed against the windows of Lisa's third-floor apartment, a symphony of sound that usually lulled her to sleep. Tonight, however, the storm brought with it a sense of unease. A sudden crash of thunder jolted her awake. Her heart pounded as she sat up in bed, her gaze drawn to the window. The streetlight outside flickered erratically, casting long shadows across the walls. And then she saw it, a face pressed against the glass, staring in at her. The face was pale, gaunt, with eyes that seemed to burn into her very soul. Summoning every ounce of courage, she fumbled for the bedside lamp. Light flooded the room, but the face was gone. She scrambled out of bed, rushed to the window. Rain continued to lash against the glass. There was no ledge, no fire escape, no way anyone could have been outside her window. She told herself it was a trick of the light, a figment of her imagination. But deep down, a chilling certainty settled in her gut. She wasn't alone. 12-year-old Ethan lay awake in bed, his eyes wide with a terror he couldn't explain. The nightlight in the hallway cast long, distorted shadows across his bedroom wall. He'd always been afraid of the dark, but tonight the fear was different. It was a visceral, bone-chilling dread. He had to use the bathroom, but the thought of leaving his bed filled him with paralyzing dread. He held his breath, listening intently for any sound. And that's when he saw it. A shadow moved in the hallway. It was tall, impossibly tall, stretching from floor to ceiling. Curiosity compelled him to look again. The shadow was still there, more solid, more defined. And as he stared at it, his blood turning to ice, he realized something truly terrifying. It was staring back. Ethan's childhood fears had become a nightmarish reality. The old Chevrolet pickup rumbled down the deserted highway, its headlights cutting through the thick fog. Jake Griffin, a long-haul trucker, was on a familiar route, hauling a load of lumber from Sacramento to Reno. As he rounded a bend, his headlights illuminated a lone figure standing by the side of the road, their thumb extended. Jake hesitated but pulled over. The hitchhiker, a young woman in a soaked denim jacket, hurried towards the truck. "Thank you so much," she said. "I've been walking for hours. My car broke down a few miles back." She climbed into the truck, bringing with her a wave of cold air and a faint, unsettling scent. Jake introduced himself, making small talk as he pulled back onto the highway. The young woman remained evasive, offering only a vague story about visiting family. As they approached the turnoff for the next town, Jake glanced over at his passenger, but the seat beside him was empty. The hitchhiker had vanished, leaving behind an air of mystery and unease. Jake's routine drive had turned into an encounter with the inexplicable. 8-year-old Emma loved her antique porcelain doll, a family heirloom named Sophia. One stormy evening, as lightning flashed and thunder rattled the windows, Emma sat on the floor of her bedroom, deeply engrossed in a tea party with Sophia. Emma's mother, Sarah, poked her head into the room. "Time for bed, sweetheart," she said. Emma nodded, her attention already back on her beloved doll. As she drifted off to sleep, the storm reached its crescendo. A sudden clap of thunder jolted Emma awake. Her heart pounded as she sat up in bed. The storm was still raging, but something else had awakened her. A whisper, coming from Sophia's direction. Emma slowly turned her head towards the shelf where Sophia lay. Her blood ran cold. Sophia was gone. The doll had vanished, leaving behind an air of mystery and unease. Emma's cherished companion had become a source of terror. The old television set flickered to life, its screen filled with static. Alex, a college student, had been up late studying. Exhausted, he rubbed his eyes, ready to call it a night. A shape, barely discernible amidst the static, seemed to shift and move. It was a face, humanoid, but distorted, with eyes that seemed to burn with an unnatural intensity. He leaned closer, his heart pounding, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. The face remained, frozen in a grotesque grin. And then, with a suddenness that made him jump, it spoke. "We see you." Alex's late-night study session had turned into a confrontation with the inexplicable. And there you have it. 10 terrifying tales drawn from the shadowy corners of our world, where the inexplicable takes root and flourishes. These aren't just stories. They are glimpses into the abyss, into the unseen forces that surround us. So the next time you find yourself alone in the dark, remember these tales. Some doors are best left unopened, and some truths are far more terrifying than any fiction.